Hello, everybody. This is CJ Wiley with More Adventures on the Road. I just watched the finals of the U.S. Open last week, and one of the Coe brothers ended up winning. Every time I see him or one of the Asian players, I think back to my mentor Dalton Leong, who was a Chinese gentleman. He was an actor. He was in Ironsides and a couple other TV shows out of he was raised around San Francisco. So he was a great actor, which made him an incredible hustler. He could act like he was just about any nationality. But he gave me a lot of wisdom. I've talked about one of the main things that he instilled in my mind was money must always be a result and never an incentive. If your incentive is to make money, he said stay away from it, because you want that to be your result. Your incentive is to do whatever you do as well as it can possibly be done, which is a challenge. But I've had a few businesses that actually ended up. My pool room was number one in the state of Texas, and so was my nightclub. As far as alcohol sales with the nightclub, that's the only way you can measure the success in Texas is the gross sales from alcohol, which we were number one in the state of Texas for 2.5 years. The only one that beat us out was where the Cowboys play, and I think there is a place where they do big conventions and bull riding and stuff like that. But as far as just bars, restaurants, and nightclubs, Carson's Live was the spot. But another thing Dalton told me, one of the other main things that he told me was preparation is all and readiness is everything. He was a big on preparing and being ready, and gave me some good hints on how to do that. And because when you're a gambler, playing pool, you have to be able to get ready at a moment's notice. So a lot of times you don't have time to prepare. But there's ways to do that, and I generally did it with a martial arts routine. But another thing Dalton told me was, at some point, he said the Asians are going to dominate pool. And when I saw that finals and I watched a little of the semifinals, that Coe made me think back of what he said, because he's exactly right. The mentality and the just the mental skills that a lot of the Asians have is perfect. They're generally really mathematically inclined and, disciplined. You have to be disciplined. Again, preparation is all, readiness is everything. But I remembered a match that I played at the U.S. Open. And this was many years ago, but I had a 10 a.m. match, and I don't like 10 a.m. matches, so I had to get up extra early, and I did my martial arts routine, and ate something. I had to eat light because I don't like eating less than 2 hours before I play, so I just had some fruit and stuff. I think I ate maybe a granola bar. But when I went down to my match, I looked across and I could see what table I played on. And there was an Asian guy warming up. And as I got closer, I started watching what he was doing. And I mean, oh my gosh, he was like putting on an exhibition. He was like drawing his ball around 4 rails and slicing them and dicing them and banking them and massaging them. And I mean, it looked like he was putting on an exhibition for himself, I guess. There's other people watching, but... So my first instinct was, I should go back to bed. What's the use? They made this guy in a lab somewhere, and, he's probably able to give Efren like the 7 ball, and he's just going to annihilate me, is what I was thinking. Of course, I'm joking with myself. One of the things that I've said before is when you're in real stressful situations, the best way to get out of it is using humor. A lot of times if I was worried about losing a match, I would jokingly ask myself if they cared, again, in China, that I won or lost. Is it going to make the front page headlines tomorrow? So, of course it isn't. Most of the pressure that we generate is within us. We're creating that pressure. So, a good sense of humor and being able to laugh at yourself, it always is one of the key things that helped me. And that's, kind of the opposite of what most people do. People get more serious when they're under pressure. I get less serious, especially in really stressful situations. I'm liable to, I've had life-threatening situations where I laughed at people, and, that mismatches the situation, of course, and isn't always good. I'm not giving advice here. I'm just saying I'm wired a little backwards. So as I got up to the table, like I said, in my mind, I was like, I was just going to get annihilated by this guy. So he made his last trick shot, and I got up there to hit some balls. Man, I didn't even want to warm up, I did, So I did exactly the opposite of what he was doing. I just hit stop shots and hit like half ball cut shots and just really tried to get my feel and touch down, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to, beat the guy with shot making and my skills, offensive skills. At least I didn't think so, because of what he was doing on the practice field. Now that's the key. Don McCoy, who's another champion player from Des Moines, Iowa, I was warming up to play him up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I was like 19 years old, and I was doing the same thing. I'm just running out every time, and he walked by, and he looked over at me, and he said, "Don't leave yourself on the practice table." And I stopped, and I knew what he was doing, that's kind of a gamesmanship type deal, psychological thing, but it's legal. You can say, he wasn't being mean about it, he was joking about it. And a lot of times when you're using these psychological ploys, again, it's better to do it with humor. Anytime you're too serious and you're trying to influence your opponent like that, it can work against you. But being lighthearted and like I said, just making fun of situations is sometimes way more effective. So I just warmed up and just stayed within myself and just really tried to get my feel and touch down. So now the curtain comes up and our match starts. And all I did was make every shot that I was shooting, and if I didn't have a shot, I made sure I locked the guy up with a safety. Well, he did leave himself on the practice table, because I ended up winning that match like 11-3. And that's not the first time. There's been a lot of times where, I just didn't think there was any chance that I could win a match. And that's when I get the most dangerous. I've talked about that where, and I know you can relate. You've been in matches before where you got down, 6-1 going to 7 or something like that. And all of a sudden, it's like it frees you. Like if you give up, not in a negative way, but give up like you have nothing left to lose. And that's a situation that you really want to get into as much as you can. And I've talked about techniques that I use to get into that mental frame of mind before I ever start the match. And I will do that in serious matches. I don't do it every time, but if I was getting ready to play seriously again, I would definitely make that part of my practice routine, as far as getting in a mental state of mind that's absolutely level and balanced and staying that way. I think it's just as bad to have positive thoughts as it is negative thoughts. I think it's best to just stay calm and level so that you get the full experience, and that will bring out your best game. Anyway, that's all I have for now. I just wanted to share that little story, and I think we're going to have to raise our game to beat these Asians, but that's okay. I always enjoyed playing the players from other countries, and I think that's part of the allure of pool for me, is traveling all over the world and getting to compete against people from all ethnicities and backgrounds, and seeing those different countries, and getting to know some of their players. Anyway, till next time, this is CJ. I'll talk with you soon. And remember, the game is the teacher.